you, Mayor.
Okay, let me double check this. And I've been trying to mess around with my sound a little bit, and I just cannot quite get it right. How's that? Is that better? Is that too loud? Oh, that's real loud. Okay, how about this?
You need a MacBook, and that's what's the problem.
Hey. Listen, fanboy. How's that? Is that better? Is the sound too loud?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good, not too loud? Okay, perfect, thank you. I know I saw in previous Zoom live meetings that I came across really loud, so I wanted to try to make some adjustments. Okay, all right, Councilor McFarland is here.
Yeah, it took me a while to find the invite.
Okay.
It's in your calendar.
You know what? They don't save to my calendar, and I don't know why. I think it's because I use a different email service.
Beth, I need the updated 7.7 if you don't mind. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the February 4th, 2021 regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh to order at 5:03 p.m. I do apologize for the late start. Will you all please rise and join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Ms. Carling, will you please conduct a roll call?
Mayor Rosenquist,
I'm here.
Councilor Canales,
Here.
Councilor Kelly,
Here.
Councilor Gibbs,
Here.
Councilor Talon,
Here.
Councilor McFarland, Councilor Moore,
Here.
Councilor McFarland is here.
Great. All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of the January 21st, 2020 regular meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Motion by Councilor Canales, seconded by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I will now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please raise your hand in the Zoom chat to be acknowledged. When called upon, we do ask that you please state your legal name and address for the record.
Mayor, currently no hands are raised.
Okay, thank you so much. We will now go on to committee reports. Each standing committee is chaired by a councilor, and I will call on the chairperson of each of those committees, starting with City Operations, Councilor McFarland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have our second meeting of the year coming up on Monday. We will have some items on the agenda. We had our first one, I believe, January 7th. We didn't pass any items forward to the Common Council at that one. So other than that, no updates, but please join on Monday if you're interested.
Thank you, Councilor McFarland. Finance and Economic Development, we had our committee meeting last month, and we have not had a committee meeting since then. So, and report. City Infrastructure, Councilor Moore.
Yes, we had our first meeting of the year, February 1st. We're bringing several capital projects to the agenda tonight. I just want to do a reminder for everyone about the lights. You will be told if you do not get off the streets when the lights are on, and to pay attention. Sometimes we have lights on multiple days or in multiple areas, so please pay attention to that so your car doesn't get towed. And I just want to make a reminder, we've had some issues with sidewalks being cleared, and I just want to remind everyone that it is our responsibility to clear those sidewalks. They look pretty good where I walk today, so just a reminder to keep everybody avoiding those fines there. And that's all I had for tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Moore. Public Safety, Councilor Gibbs.
We have received some updates from our public safety review panel in line with the governor's executive order. The mayor and I spoke about the deadline on the resolution, and we've asked that a member of that panel come to our next public safety meeting, which is scheduled the 16th of February, I believe.
Correct.
To make a formal presentation to the council. So I will make sure that everyone on council gets the Zoom invitation so that they can attend the meeting and be able to engage with the representative and ask questions as necessary. Aside from that, I don't have any other updates.
Thank you, Councilor Gibbs. We will now move on to liaison reports. Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor McFarland.
Yeah, no updates at this time. The library is still operating remote pickup, and I have noticed that they've been pretty active on social media lately. And I know that Ben Carmen from the children's area is he's started a Black History Month thing, which seems actually very interesting. So please keep up with the library. They are still in operation. They're not open for in-person visits yet, but they're still working hard, and they still have books available, ebooks as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councilor McFarland. Plattsburgh Municipal Lighting Department, Councilor Kelly.
Sorry, no updates at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Kelly. Staff members, Mr. Schneller, do you have any reports?
No.
Okay, I will be requesting an executive session to discuss collective bargaining unit negotiations and contracts at the end of this meeting. Any special committee reports? I don't believe that there are right now. We will have a special committee report per Councilor Gibbs. Her committee update that the Public Safety Review Panel will be presenting their initial findings to the Public Safety Committee and then submitting their findings and community feedback here shortly. That does kick off the third piece to the Governor's Executive Order 203 that the legislative body will then review those recommendations and plan to adopt the recommendations. So now I will entertain a motion to approve the payrolls of the various city departments for the weeks ending February 3rd, 2021 in the amount of $59,477.26. Motion? Councilor Moore, second Councilor Kelly. Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
I will now entertain a motion to approve the bills audited by the Common Council for the weeks ending February 5th, 2021 in the amount of $757,831.55. Motion. Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland? Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Before voting on the following resolutions, I do want to say and note that the majority of these resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees and department heads. We're now going to take action on these items in large part due to the recommendation of the committees. Ms. Carlin, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Mayor Rosenquist hands down the following reappointment of marriage officers for the city of Plattsburgh effective February 5th, 2021 through January 31st, 2025. William Laundrie and Kelly Donahue.
Motion by Counselor McFarland, second by Counselor Canales. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one question. If someone wanted to use these people's services, how would they go about contacting them?
Sure. So anybody who comes into the city clerk's office who is seeking a marriage license can also request a list of officiants for marriage, and they would be provided with this list of officiants plus myself.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Counselor Gibbs. Opposed? Motion carried.
Approving the installation of the Arts Park mural interpretive panel.
Motion by Counselor Moore, second by Counselor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, I had some questions about this. Is there a cost associated with this?
The cost associated per the per DPW was the installation of the item, but there's no monetary cost. The cost of the actual sign and the design of the sign is going to be it's going to be paid for by the Clinton County Historical Association.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, is there a design already of the interpretive panel, or is that yet to be done?
It's yet to be done. However, part of this resolution outlines that the sign does need to adhere to the standard sign design that is being put forth by the project that Bory Benner Group has been working on to standardize both place finding and signage downtown. As part of that MOA, there's also the agreement that the sign needs to be upkept and changed if any modifications to the overall sign design were to be made throughout the city.
And is the sign just going to describe the life of Lieutenant Michael Anderson, or is it going to describe the artwork and who did it and how that was done? Or do you know what?
Yeah, correct. It's a bit of both. It's similar to the sign that you can find at the Tibetan Mandala, the sign that you can find at the Jean Arthur mural on Protection Avenue, and it's going to be dedicated as well. So it's a similar content to the sign, but the design will be consistent with the signage design put forth by the Boyer Benner Group. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Authorizing the transfer of funds to cover the City Hall window capital project.
Motion by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, I have some questions. So if I just want to make sure I'm looking at the appropriate resolution. So is it H5110.76?
Correct. So
Okay.
this was a capital project that was authorized in I believe it was the last infrastructure committee, and this is the cost allocation for those for that capital project.
So I'm looking at the documentation and it says building improvements for 50,000, fire station 2 ramp. So I went back and I found the old resolution to match things up. Replace City Hall windows. But what are the building improvements that are costing 50,000? That part I was unclear about.
Mr. Marks, can you remind us what that is again, please?
Mike Bissett, I believe, requested to have some new doors for the DPW building in addition to, I believe, some HVAC improvements. So Mike should actually verify that.
And just so I'm clear, from reading the documents, I missed the part of the infrastructure committee when they discussed this. Oh, so are we just not gonna do the replace the city hall windows anymore? I see that's like taken off. It goes
No,
from-
the reason it's taken off is this is a duplication from a resolution you're going to see later on from a 2015 capital project that already established the windows, and all the funding has been secured under that capital project. So this was a duplication done last year by mistake, and so we're just removing it.
Oh, okay. And
If you turn to the third page of that resolution, it does outline the $50,000, which is allocated for plant building improvements at DPW, which the revised cost after some expenditures, $32,536, which does cover the cost of replacing the boilers at DPW.
Like Richard has said, the year to year we do improvements to our building. One of was HVAC. I think that was at least 4 years ago now, and then the other was the overhead doors, which we are just starting that work here, but it was approved the last calendar year. Upcoming, you'll see a resolution for heating system or boiler replacement, and that'll be a separate one.
If you look at the last page of that resolution as well, it outlines the individual plant improvements for DPW.
do we have an update on what's going on with the city hall windows? Because that was a project that started even before I was a counselor, and
Yeah.
I've always been a little confused. The superintendent Bassett has tried to explain to me. I don't really understand why it costs so much or takes so long, or because something with like they need old windows, which I never got either.
Yeah, so Patrick, so the original intent of the window replacement was to do a rehabilitation of the existing window. So they would take it out, scrape it down, which would be some remediation of asbestos and lead paint, replace the window or reuse that window back into the same wooden frame that they had refurbished. But what they found was the cost for doing that was extremely prohibitive. So essentially what's going on right now is that they're going back to the drawing board with the existing funding, grant funding from DASNY, and the capital project that Richard mentioned that was lingering from 2015 that's getting wrapped up into this project. And we're going back to both the planning board and SHPO with a recommended redesign of the window itself using a comparable updated replacement product. So the replacement product looks exactly like the existing window, and it will both cost less, but part of that process is taking that plan back to the Plattsburgh Planning Board and SHPO to be approved for using that new product, which other communities have done that, and they have found success in going back to those boards with an updated plan to use a new product rather than a refurbished product.
Okay, good. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, but to your point, this is something that has been dragging on since about 2015, that the money is available, sitting there waiting for us to spend, and so we're taking advantage of that opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly? Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Authorizing the mayor to sign a shared services agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation.
Motion by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, I read the documentation. Could I get a little bit of an explanation of this?
This is an ongoing 4-year regular shared service route contract with New York State Department of Transportation in the event of an emergency. It essentially circumvents any need for a state declared emergency for the two agencies to work together. This is a renewal of that contract.
And I believe like most, if not all, municipalities do something like this.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Revising resolution dated July 11th, 2019 to authorize Mayor Rosenquist to sign and execute all necessary agreements, certifications, or reimbursement requests for federal aid and/or Marcia Shelley aid on behalf of the city of Plattsburgh for the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan PSAP grant.
Motion by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, could you just give a brief explanation of what this is?
Yeah, sure. This is a grant that was already signed by the previous administration. New York State wants an updated signature from the current administration.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Authorizing the Department of Public Works to advertise for bids for construction of the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan PSAP project.
Motion by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Adoption of the City of Plattsburgh Complete Streets Implementation Policy.
Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Moore. There is a discussion on this, and part of that discussion is a slight change to the language of the resolution. Nothing about the change itself will alter the intent or the purpose of the resolution, but what it will do is add the ability to increase our clean energy community opportunities and the climate smart community scoring that we're building up for that certification. Part of that scoring requires us to add language into any complete streets adoption, which essentially outlines that a construction a complete streets report will be completed by the staff for every relevant construction or planning project that will fall under complete streets. So what I would like to do at this point is there any other discussion or clarification on why we're adding that language? Okay, so what I would like to do is take a motion to amend the resolution to add it would be to third, be it further resolved language, which says, be it further resolved that a complete streets report will be completed by the City of Plattsburgh staff for every relevant construction or planning project.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Canales. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carried. So now the motion, the call to question would be the call to question for the approval of the City of Plattsburgh adoption of complete streets. Is there any further discussion on that item?
I would just ask, are there any like imminent changes that adopting this resolution, are there any imminent changes that you see or that the DPW is going to enact in?
No, not right now. And we have talked about the number of projects that we currently have planned for the city. For example, the Riley Ave reconstruction, the Beacon Street reconstruction. There's a number of surface road reconstruction or surface resurfacing that we're doing in the city. As per this resolution, our goal is to take a look at those. Take a look at those projects, assess a complete streets approach, and see what is within reason to fulfill on that. Now, if we just take a blanket, like hard line approach at complete streets and say, all right, this street needs to be expanded by 20 feet, put sidewalks on both sides and bike lanes. You know, in some streets, we'd be right up against people's doors, and that's not something that is reasonable or responsible. So what we're looking at is what's the reasonable, responsible approach to complete streets. Maybe, and certainly it's to ensure that there are sidewalks to ensure walkability and ADA compliance and accessibility to walking on our streets. It could mean adding a bike lane. It could mean including sharrows in the road resurfacing or road construction. But at that point, and that's where that other language comes in, where the report will be completed for the relevant construction and planning project. But it also outlines a number of things that we can potentially do. But as we start to design the project, we'll see what's reasonable to do.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mayor. Does the Complete Streets adoption come with the opportunities to receive grants to do complete streets, or is the city on its own for these types of improvements?
No, so combined with Complete Streets policy, there are opportunities for increased funding for certain projects. Actually, when after we finished our infrastructure meeting, I got a couple of emails from local entities saying, hey, you know, we've worked with communities for Complete Streets, we've found funding for projects for Complete Streets, and we would like to work with you. So there's that opportunity. In addition to this policy, and one of the reasons why we're including that additional language for the climate smart community is the more points that we build towards that climate smart community certification, the more opportunities we have for grant funding for smart growth and environmental projects within the city.
Yeah, the Complete Streets, I would guess, come with a cost. You know, there's one cost for resurfacing a street, but then there's another cost, an additional cost for turning it into a complete street. So, you know, the DPW has their budget for this year, and they have a list of streets that they'd like to work on. Turning those streets into complete streets would hamper the budget, I'll say.
Correct, and that goes back to the point that I was mentioning before, is that when we do take a look at resurfacing some of these streets and rebuilding some of these streets, what we're also looking at, what is the reasonable and responsible thing to do when including some of those complete street philosophies. So it's not just a matter of like, hey, we're, you know, for example, you know, we are going to do a Beekman Street project this year, and we're going to take a look at what's reasonable for that street and figure out what sort of philosophies we can include that are in line with complete streets. So, you know, ensuring that their sidewalks are there, and if there's funding and opportunity for expanding those sidewalks, then we do that. Curbing and expanded roadways. There might be some opportunities for road diet and traffic calming measures. But, you know, like I mentioned, it's not just a matter of, okay, we're a complete streets community, and we're going to take a broad brush and then apply it to every single project in its full entirety. That would be cost prohibitive, and it would be detrimental to how our roads look.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind is that once a complete street is built, then it has to be maintained. You know, and the more infrastructure you lay down to build that complete street, the more cost you have going into the future. So I hope we'll remember that. I personally would rather see 3 miles of road paved, resurfaced every year, than say 1.5 miles of complete streets. But
so Mike, Mike, are you saying that if we agree to this, there's the likelihood we will pave less road because there will be more cost and more steps involved? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I don't know that for a fact, Elizabeth, but I do suspect that there will be additional costs to build complete streets, such as, you know, as Mayor Rosenquist was saying, curbing and additional sidewalks and those kinds of things. Those cost money. They also cost money in the future to maintain. So I hope we'll keep that in mind. I like the concept of complete streets. People in my ward tell me they'd like to see more complete streets. So I support the idea, but I just want to make sure that we all understand that there are costs involved and that we have to be prepared to pay those costs if we adopt this resolution.
Now, mind you, the resolution does say that we'll consider incorporating complete streets designs and features and practices in planning, design, and approval. Okay, so we're not obligated to. It's something that, as a philosophy, we will look at the overarching picture of it and implement it where responsible.
Okay.
And that includes monetary responsibility, size and room responsibility, the whole picture.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll add that in my opinion, a lot of time that's money well spent. These complete streets and improving the walkability of our city.
The Margaret Street was a good example of a complete streets treatment, and unfortunately, the striping and painting that they suggested we do for the bike lanes has disappeared. So that's just an example of the type of maintenance that needs to happen with these streets on an ongoing basis. And it does cost a little more. So we just need to be aware of that and always consider that as we make plans for the various street improvements.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Authorizing the transfer of funds to cover various 2021 DPW capital projects.
Motion by Jeff Moore, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Yes, I have some questions. So this is the document that says 2021 street resurfacing H5110.77. Is that it?
That is correct.
Okay. So I'm looking at the list of streets and I see Cogan is not on there. Is it possible to get an update? Because I'm getting notified, by constituents, because this is in my ward, asking for clarification because one of my constituents has been told something and I wasn't clear on what's happening with the project. And then second to that question is, I see that you've accounted for CHIPS funding, and I just wondered, is that money guaranteed, or is there a possibility that we may not get that CHIPS funding? I just wasn't sure how that worked in particular. So if I could get a clarification on those two things, what's the fate of this Cogan Avenue project, and the status of that CHIPS money, that would be great.
And just for a point of clarification, the discussion is for the item itself. There is an update on Cogan, which, without trying to stifle the conversation, it does not fall into this discussion of this item. But at this point, there has been no changes to the Cogan project. Okay, there's the Cogan project is at a 94% engineering, design, and it's being out for bid right now. As far as the CHIPS funding, I can let Mike Bissett answer that question.
What we've put forth here is the balance of what's left of our, what they call a rollover balance for CHIPS. As far as what we're going to get for 2021, we'll know sometime April, June. But this was put forth based on the monies that we have. As far as the money CHIPS going towards Cogan, we did not anticipate putting CHIPS money towards Cogan. We've been reserving CHIPS money for road resurfacing only. This list could expand later in the year, depending on how much money we get from the state.
So to follow up with you, Mike, last year when we had the discussion about Cogan and the debate about whether or not sidewalks would be part of that became part of the conversation that we didn't want to jeopardize CHIPS funding by giving up sidewalks. And so I'm hoping that at some point soon, I can get
sidewalks and CHIPS funding don't go hand in hand. that doesn't jeopardize the use of CHIPS funds. The only requirements with utilizing CHIPS funding is whatever we put in, if there's existing sidewalks that run perpendicular or across the street, that we have to make it ADA compliant, which a lot of times means upgrading crosswalks. That's the extent of it. The short list you see here, I don't believe any of these streets have sidewalks. And if they do have sidewalks, they run parallel. But no, we're not jeopardizing CHIPS funding at all by not putting sidewalks in on a particular street.
Thank you.
Mike, Mr. Mayor, can I ask Mr. Bissett a question?
Please.
So are the streets that are listed here, are those in the order that they're gonna be addressed?
No, it'll be basically, we'll go through, we'll get together with most likely do the same procedure we've done in previous years. We'll choose a contractor off the county contract list to perform this work. And we try to coordinate streets all in the same area. Now, as you see, a lot of these are in the flats. So I would, if we're doing White and George and Standish, those will be obviously happen together, but that it'll happen based, a lot of it will be driven by the contractor who are using their schedule and when they can fit us in. These jobs will happen probably in about a 2-week period, but we just don't know throughout the year. We're at the whim of the contractor.
And I'm sure you probably know which street I'm going to ask about since we've talked about it many times before. But when Riley Avenue is mentioned here, is that addressing the entirety of Riley Avenue from Saley all the way to North Catherine Street?
It's Riley Ave extension. It's a little piece that runs from Saley over to, it's not, well,
It says,
not
Miller,
through the whole.
it says Miller to Saley on the capital project.
That's correct. That's what you're getting.
Perfect. That's the spot that needs to be hit the most. And are sidewalks going to be put in there? I know there's no sidewalks there now, but that place could actually really use it. And obviously that whole intersection is a problem.
The design that we got. Go ahead, Andrew.
So the design for this one is based off the need for our water main replacement on that extension. We've had several water line breaks there for the last couple of years. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to neat line a new water line down the middle of the road, backfill it, and then do a mill and resurface through the roadway. So there is no full depth reconstruction for it. It'll just be a mill and resurface after we replace the water line.
Still needs a sidewalk. That's my point. But I'll digress.
Andrew, is there a possibility that, we could mark off a piece of the blacktop to be used for a walking lane? Is it wide enough?
So with the implementation of the complete street policy, that is something that we will go back and look at to see if, we can, if the lane widths are wide enough, we can add striping for pedestrian or bike lanes. And that's where that report will come in. We'll do the report, say we looked at it, this is what we added to it, or no, we can't add it for these reasons.
Bear in mind, you will be looking at added design costs. We start throwing sidewalk in, particularly in a street like that does not have a sidewalk. When the project was conceived, it was conceived as a water line replacement project with just a resurfacing of what was there. And as all these projects were, because we're taking new tact on some of this stuff, we might have to back off on it, and we need to, temper our expectations. If we're going to go this route, it could slow down the whole process, which is fine. That's not the end of everything.
Yeah, and I will agree that that area needs to be repaved probably more than anything else. Are they planning on putting lines into it? Because I know that section doesn't have any road lines on it currently.
No lines.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon,
Yes.
Counselor McFarland,
Yeah.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
authorizing the transfer of funds to cover various 2021 environmental capital projects.
Motion by Counselor Canales, second by Counselor Kelly. Discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Canales,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon,
Yes.
Counselor McFarland,
Yes, Beth.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Carried.
approving contract extension, contract number 2019-01, 15% sodium hypochlorite for water resource recovery facility and water filtration plant.
Motion by Counselor Moore, second by Counselor Canales. Discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Canales,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon,
Yes.
Counselor McFarland,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Carried. Oh, sorry, 7.11 has been withdrawn. Are there any resolutions for initial consideration? Is there any new business? I will now entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss collective bargaining agreement. Motion by Counselor Canales, second by Counselor Gibbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, folks, so we're going to jump off of this line, go to the executive session line. And for everybody watching, we will return. We don't expect to introduce or pass any additional resolutions upon our return. But when we do, we will then entertain a motion to exit executive session and then most likely entertain a motion to adjourn.
first. Maybe Counselor Gillespie. All right, Beth, I figured out the calendar thing.
There it is. Okay, cool. Hey, folks, we're just going to give Councilor Moore a couple minutes to rejoin the link here.
Just so we can be here for the motion to adjourn.
Yeah, pretty much. And make it official. You know, don't want to let him feel left out.
I missed it my first meeting.
Yeah, but in fairness, we gave you that couple minutes, I think.
That's true.
Maybe Jeff forgot to return.
Oh, Jeff. He's going to end up coming back and the meeting's going to be over. Okay, folks, as mentioned, there is no action to be taken coming out of this executive session. So at this time, I will now entertain a motion to exit executive session. Motion by Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And at this time, there is nothing to come before the council. So I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Gibbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are now adjourned. It is 6:06 p.m. Thanks, folks. Have a great evening.